Hi guys, welcome back to CountyLine Farming. As you can see behind me, exciting day here at the farm. Got some new equipment that has just showed up. Behind me is our brand new Kuhn SL126 manure spreader. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a walk around of our brand new spreader. Just got in the other day. I will throw in some clips that I took the day it showed up. We did not buy this manure spreader with the wheels from the dealership. We had our own wheels, so we ended up taking them off of our other spreader and putting them on here and putting the old ones back on the other spreader. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this footage of unloading it. Just got the wheels put on the new spreader. So as you could see there, we had 3 loaders lifting up on the spreader. This spreader came out of Iowa, so that's a couple states away. So that's the reason we had to trailer it here. So quite a few differences from a 2023 Kuhn spreader from a 2011. Our old one's a 2011. It's a size smaller. This one is a 2023 technically. Sat on the lot for a little bit. Got bought by a different dealership. And that's kind of the reason we went to Iowa. It was a little bit cheaper there. Actually quite a bit cheaper. A couple $1,000 difference. So we found little bit of a deal, I guess you could say, since brand new stuff is very expensive. So we'll go ahead and walk through the differences. Have not ran it yet. It's still completely clean. So this cylinder here is on the outside. Now it used to be on the inside up in here. That's something they changed on the new SL series, SLC. The reason it's gray, they call it a commercial use spreader. So that means everything's beefed up just a little bit on it. Undercarriage is still roughly about the same. These are 8-bolt wheels. You could go to a 10-bolt, but we don't have any tires for that. The flap's designed a little bit different. The flap actually folds all the way down and actually acts as a second door. So that would be super nice if for some reason the door wears out. And this gets a little bit loose, so you can haul completely liquid manure now with it. And no worries about that. Those tires we've ran for a year or two on our other spreader. The old one came all the way up to here. I'm not a super big fan of this, but it's a little bit easier to service, I guess you could say. We'll go ahead and open this up. Got hydraulic cylinders. So this does look like a mess. This is probably the biggest downside of these spreaders. There's a lot that can go wrong, but they have it an oil bath down in there to keep all these chains lubed, and you have to make sure none of this flies apart. There's a lot that can go wrong. There's different springs. This is all out to a grease bank over here, which is super nice. So you need to make sure you keep those greased. Got a couple grease zerks down in there. This is a lot easier to adjust now than the old one. This whole hitch assembly is a lot bigger. There's a size bigger hitch pin you can put in here. As you can see, we have a brand new drawbar on a 10,000 hour John Deere 4440. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Don't mind, it's super dirty right now. Have the newer style hydraulic hookups. They're even color coded, no more guessing. Not sure how that's gonna work when you get them dirty, but you can see the one, we'll have to figure out which one's which, but you can see they're colored at the bottom. So you can put your hoses there, lift them up, they come out. Got your lights, hazard light hookup over here. Small 1,000 PTO. The reason we went with that, so you don't have to worry about any adapters. Open this door up to grease that grease zerk. This hitch goes around back once you start using it. So this door is a lot nicer than the other one. It actually stays on the machine now. It's easier to get in here. And there's also this gear and this gear used to be in the back of the spreader. Now they're in the front. These are shear pins, so these could break and you can put new ones in. Probably one of the biggest problems with hauling manure with 50-year-old tractors, especially with John Deere anyways. They're pretty solid tractors, but these manure spreaders are almost 3 times the size as they had back in the 80s when these things were built. So this is a relatively large spreader. You have to keep in mind we have lots of hills around here, so you can't exactly put any bigger spreader on and expect it to go up hills. You got to keep in mind we don't own any John Deere front wheel assist tractors. We have one 4-wheel drive, but that's mainly for tillage and tiling. So we have very good tread on this tractor. The other two are going to have new tires on within the next 2 years, so that'll help out in that department. But we actually have another John Deere tractor, same series as this one, just a size bigger, that will be coming to the farm later this year, probably mid-summer. Have some engine work to do to that, and I'll wait and show you guys that when it gets here. But that's kind of the spreader we're thinking to put on this one, or at least dedicate that tractor to just manure hauling to hopefully limit some of these problems with the drawbar. This one came off on the road. Now, I got stopped on the right after I finished turning, because you don't want to stop turning on the road when you're crossways. So I got it evened out so people could go around while we picked the spreader up off the road. But this drawbar did end up snapping. Never had a drawbar completely snap on me. We've had smaller ones break. This is a relatively decent sized drawbar here. It has been slightly, about 3/4 of the way broke for a little while now. That did not help the fact. But hopefully, since we got a new one on here, and I think part of the thing is the hitch pin, if we can limit amount of slop in the hitch, that helps wear and tear. Lower speeds, less bumps, operator, things like that also help it. So yeah, another improved thing that I very highly like. This piece here is rubber, and it actually comes out farther, which helps you. It'll just help you a little bit when you're going up and down, slow and faster. When you got liquid manure in here, which is what the spreader's mainly made for, that'll help you keep it in the spreader. Those are held by zip ties, so if an operator hits it with the bucket right here, it'll break away instead of bending the metal, and then it's bent permanently, so that's very nice. Here's your other grease bank right here. So the undercarriage is similar. This here's a little bit different. They have a 2-piece system going to each axle. Before, this was one solid piece going back there, so hopefully that improves everything back there. The grease zerk on that axle, the axle does pivot. It doesn't go side to side. That's a big grain cart technology on underfirths, but it does go up and down. Hydraulic hoses run on the inside, which keep it cleaner. A little bit more dirt will be down there. Does concern me. Hopefully the corn stalks don't get wrapped up in here now, but mud's gonna sit in there. That's the other thing I don't like about that, since that bottom side's not open. Kind of hard to clean underneath of a spreader. We have a safety chain we'll have to put on. That did not come with it. That's an option. Many different options on something this simple these days. You can order from the factory, since this is a brand new unit. So now that we don't have those 2 gears, lovely day out by the way, probably the nicest it's been for the last week. We've had about 2 inches of rain in the last 4 days now. So, I'm not sure You got 2 grease banks. So this, you take 4 bolts off to get to, but you should never have to open that up unless those bearings fail. Your 2 grease zerks are right there. So hopefully that stays cleaned out in there so you can get to those easily. Still learning new things since I've yet to ran this manure spreader. Should be pretty similar. The lights are just a tickle different. All that's ran up in here now, which will be nice until it fails, and then I'm not sure. I guess they just don't want you to fix it after. See, they build things so you're supposed to get rid of them in 3 to 5 years. So biggest part is this area right here, especially this side, gets the dirtiest. We're thinking about putting some custom fenders on. Not sure if that'll get done before we'll use it. This spreader's been here for around 2 weeks now. I'll show you what's wrong with our old one. We just finally guaranteed it's gonna work now for the next owner. We didn't want to sell it broken. It's not sold yet, but we'll go ahead and go talk about the other one. I think we've discussed everything here on this one. It's April 13th when I'm filming this. Got lots of manure to haul. Had a lot more a couple years ago this time of year. Last year was a great year to haul manure. I feel like didn't have this much sitting around. Dad has 95% of the fertilizer on the wheat and the triticale. A little bit windy today. Manure pile does need pushed up. John Deere 4430. Don't quote me on the year. It's late 70s. Needs some new tires in a couple of years. Here is our Kuhn 8124 manure spreader. This is a 2012 model. It is now 2024, so it has been around a time or two. We have a brand new tire to put on this other side. It actually blew out the other morning. As you can see, we have a spare on, so that'll be going on. That'll be part of the deal when she gets sold. Last summer, I think you might remember when I fixed this, it does have a small hole right here. Just need to replace this top shield. That's actually original piece and it's wore through. Have some sawdust sitting there. This door opens up. You can replace that piece, but we are selling this, so if anybody watching knows or is looking for a manure spreader, let me know and I could hook you up possibly. So we're selling this privately. We did not trade it in on the old spreader since we were hoping to get just a little bit more out of it for the price. Since it is a decent spreader yet, there's still lots of life left in it. It does have a brand new chain on. The other one was original and just got wore out, and we replaced it. Put this, Dad engineered this bracket in here to keep this chain moved over because it wants to pop off once in a while when you first start. Are officially done using this spreader. We'll probably move over since there's no reason to run 3 manure spreaders. We only need 2. We can do with 1. I did it for a couple weeks. It sucks. Backing in the big barn, since we bed with sawdust in between all of the posts, that's kind of a downside. It can be done. If we didn't have quite as many cattle, I would probably do it, but for the price of just having a little side slinger even smaller than this, I think it would be better. The other aspect, our rear unload manure spreader is not made to use every single day. Have some of this rust repellent, waxy kind of paint material. It's real sticky and it's supposed to, it's kind of like an undercoat on a vehicle. It's supposed to help keep it from rusting away. This is kind of where the spreader fails most, when it wears out first because of all the material going through these augers. On our other spreader, it failed on the back here, which they've actually kind of improved it, you could say. There's a piece that you can take out now and re-bolt. So the problem we had with the old one was right in here on this bottom auger. This bottom auger moves faster than the top one, just by a little bit. because all the manure has to go on that auger to get out the door. This one that's up a little bit higher runs back and then kind of kicks it over when it gets to the end, and then runs down this bottom one, and it all goes out that front little hole. That hole's a little bit bigger. The whole idea of this spreader is the whole thing's built heavier. That's why it's one size bigger. So it failed back here. This piece right here wasn't built quite as thick as it should have been, but now that they ran them for so long, they figured that out. So this piece actually unbolts, and you can put a new one in down the road if you end up having that problem again. These bolts are easier to get to. They put them out farther. So, but we put this on there. We didn't buy our other spreader new, but hopefully we'll have this one for at least 10 years or so, and we won't have problems with it since it's the smallest size in this series that's upgraded. You can see how all of these are bolted on. The idea behind that is if a rock gets in here, which we've never had that problem with a rock getting in here, because I feel like typically you'll have that problem in feedlots when they're cleaning out and there's not a solid bottom. They're just kind of out in the open. Or if you're dumping manure out in the field and scooping it up, which we don't do, but out west I'm sure they do that quite a bit. I could see you getting a decent sized rock in here. The idea is if you get a rock jammed in there, those will break away. Instead of breaking more parts, it'll just break away, and you can come back, put that bolt back in, and you should be ready to go again. So that's one of the ideas there, and everything's just slightly beefed up a little bit. They changed this front system up here. It's easier to adjust, things like that. Today is April 28th. We've had the spreader for around a month now. I've hauled a little over 50 loads with it last week, cleaning up all the manure that we had piled and in the pens. Finishing up, I just used this spreader to get it dialed in, I guess you could say. All the kinks worked out of it and know exactly how to run it. Nothing too much different, just a little bit different getting used to. I'll throw in the footage of the first load of manure I hauled with it, and a clip of loading it up for the first time. Had some straw or some sawdust pack we ran through it.
First load of manure in our new spreader. First scoop. Second scoop.
But overall, really like the spreader. It does take a good bit of horsepower compared to our old one, just because of increased size, and especially the hammers. There's almost a third more hammers, and that takes a lot of horsepower to spin that manure out. If you're on flat ground with some drier material, it works pretty good, but if you have some super heavy manure, it's a little bit harder to run. But we'll have a bigger tractor on there later. It's not the end of the world, it just takes some getting used to. So I've already washed this spreader once and we've greased it. Just gonna talk about it a little bit more before I get it dirty again. I'm gonna haul some manure here this afternoon with it, since we can't go more than 5 or 6 days without hauling manure around here. I could haul every day if I really wanted to, but just have it on a 4430. Liking it so far though. So planning on just running this spreader mainly. We ended up getting the 8124 side slinger sold. That spreader just left 2 days ago actually. I talked about earlier in the video how I needed to find an owner for it. We have secured an owner. It actually went to a local farmer not too far from here. Just have some beef cattle, so it should work out good for him. He's not going to use it near as heavily as we did. So that's good to see it getting used. So we're going to get this one here loaded up and get some liquid manure hauled here. I cringe when I'm loading that spreader since it's getting dirty, but it's alright. That's what a manure spreader's for. Kind of my thinking is behind running it as the main manure spreader for a year. Granted, that's when it's going to do most of its life, is since we have a 1-year warranty. If for some reason we do have a problem, therefore we can get it resolved without any cost. So the end of last week, I chisel plowed about 80-90 acres. That's what I did the majority of the last 2 days. 4630 and the 9-shake chisel plow. This here is one of the fields. Have lots of different things going on the farm today. It's currently 4:15. Bryson's loading the manure spreader right now. Had him scrape. I brought the spreader up here. Bedding the big barn quick since it's time for that again this week. It doesn't look like we're gonna get much rain here, so better get it done while we don't have time, but before it gets really bad. Dad's planting corn. He just got started today. It's the 6th of May. Relatively early for us. Lots of other guys have already planted a good bit, but he got just shy of 100 acres of beans planted the previous week. Those were all no-till. I just got done chisel plowing about a half hour ago. Just got the chisel plow unhooked and got the disc hooked up. We need to grease that. And then I got about 40 acres of disc. Tonight, after I feed all the cattle here at both farms, so that'll take a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to do that. So my uncle's working ground with the column mulcher. We're running over it. We're chisel plowing it, running the field cultivator, and then we're running the RTC or column mulcher over it twice to get a nice seed bed for the corn. So that's kind of where we're at here today. Lots of different things going on.